Hey guys, Scott here again with a new beer face-off video for you today. Let me just explain what we're facing off, and I'll explain why we're doing it here today and how we're going to do things slightly different. I'm doing two beers from New Belgium for the Voodoo Ranger brand. I have done another beer beer face-off that's listed under playlists. Look under beer face-off. Which I've done other two beers from there. And let me explain the two, and then I'll tell you why I'm doing this. Voodoo Ranger Xperimental IPA, which I'm sure I'll have this popping over my shoulder, as well as the famous Voodoo Ranger Juice Force IPA. Okay? Now, what I'm going to be doing today with this beer face-off, in the past I've poured the beers out, had them side by side. I'm going to kind of do a partially blind. I have my son off camera. I'm going to be pausing the video when I get to that point. He's going to pour there'll be a quick pause in the action. I will pour the beers out and then we'll review it. Why I like to do beers like this is it's kind of apples to apples. You know, Voodoo Ranger, you think of IPAs. And I'm not going to say they're high-end IPAs. They make some pretty solid IPAs, but I don't want to compare it to like Equilibrium or Treehouse or Hill Farmstead or The Alchemist. I like to compare it either across the brand or another beer that's technically macro. This New Belgium was bought out because it is New Belgium Voodoo Ranger. I know several years ago, one of the big beer companies, I think it was Lion Beverage, which is from Australia and a subsidiary of Kirin Beverage in Japan. But neither here nor there. I like to do beers like this. And the other reason why too is that, listen, you have a barbecue, just a scenario. You have a barbecue, you have people that love beer, but maybe they don't appreciate your $25 a 4-pack beers that you get 16-ounce cans at your local great brewery or Equilibrium or places like that. But you're at the grocery store, you have friends coming over, you want a 12 or 24 pack. And Voodoo Ranger is always a pretty good standby, in my opinion. So you may want to pick these up and pay $20 for a 12-pack instead of $25 for 4, okay? So I like to always do these beers, whether it's a beer face-off like today or a beer dissection. Now, both of these beers, if I didn't mention already, I have done a standalone beer dissection video. Again, the Voodoo Ranger Xperimental IPA and the Juice Force. They are part of a compilation pack, which I do talk about that compilation pack with all the beers on the channel. So look under your beer dissection videos if you'd like more thoroughness to this. I'm probably going to highlight a few things because I'm comparing the two beers, but I won't go maybe as much detail. So both are, and the other reason why I'm doing this, one is technically an American IPA, one is technically a hazy IPA, okay? But I've had these before. It was a couple of months ago, so it wasn't like last week. They both look reasonably the same in the glass. Now remember, all IPAs, there's some subtle differences. I'm not going to spend 20 minutes explaining it. But remember, a New England IPA may be a little bit more cloudy, opaque, because sometimes they use unmalted wheat and oats to add to some of the cloudiness. American IPA, and like I said, the Juice, not the Juice Force, the Voodoo Ranger Xperimental is technically an American IPA, but there is overlap between the two. A lot of times they're going to be citrus and tropical fruit aromas, this and that. The colors may be very close to either being yellow to gold and things like that. So again, I don't want to, probably a little more than I was thinking of re-explaining about IPAs, but I want to give you a little background why I'm doing these two. And again, I did do, I think, Juice Force against the Juice Hazy IPA, the one that's in a white can for New Belgium. So a lot of my viewers and subscribers enjoy these videos, and I could tell by the views that I get on them that they enjoy these face-off videos, and I have fun doing them. All right, guys, so today's beer face-off is Voodoo Ranger Xperimental IPA and Juice Force IPA. I'm going to be pausing this quickly. I'm going to get these poured out, and we're going to get to see which one I like better, and I'm going to be doing it, again, partially blind. Okay? So hold on. All right, guys, I'm back. My son got these beers poured into glasses. So what I'm going to do, probably have at the end of this video, have a picture, or not at the end, and maybe even during what you watching this video. I may have them pop over my shoulders so you know which one's which. And I'll, of course, vocalize which one I think's the winner at the very end. So let me pull the first one out. Again, I've had these glasses before, but I don't know which one's which. But this first one got about 2 inches of night white dense foam. Pretty opaque. It kind of looks like a hazy IPA or juicy IPA. It's kind of got that medium straw color, opaqueness to it. I would say usually chill haze, but because of the polyphenols from the hops and how some of these breweries again use those oats and wheat, that almost looks like it's a hazy or juicy IPA. But looks pretty nice. Nice white head there. Okay, so let's take a sniff of the aroma of this first one. Okay. So it's citrus. You kind of get a little bit of a grapefruit on the nose. And maybe a little tropical fruit. Maybe a little pineapple in there. Maybe even a mango. But very pleasant. Maybe even kind of like lime zest on the citrus end of things. Or if you want to say grapefruit zest, that would work also. Very nice. Very pronounced on the hop aroma here on this first one. Okay, so let's take a swig of this. This one again, pretty neutral malt, white bread, doughy. You kind of get, I even get more of like a white grape on the flavor. I didn't get it on the nose too much, but little citrus, grapefruit. Pretty low to moderate bitterness. So, it's kind of giving me some clues that this could be the hazy, juicy IPA. Again, little tropical fruit with that pineapple, grapefruit, but very nice. It's drinking pretty good, pretty crisp, pretty well attenuated. So, you're not getting there is some sweetness there, but you're not getting an overwhelming, like some of these IPAs, you get like, candy. You feel like you get like Jolly Rancher candies in seltzer. And it's just sometimes cloyingly sweet. But this is pretty well balanced. I mean, it's definitely hop forward. So I shouldn't say it's balanced. It's definitely a hop forward beer, it being an IPA. I know both of these are IPAs, okay? But pretty nice. I mean, probably if I was going to knock this one, I wish the fruit would linger a little bit more on my palate, especially going into the aftertaste. But pretty crisp, pretty refreshing. No alcoholic warmth, no solvency from the alcohol. So, and again, I don't know which one this is yet, but I'm going to say it's probably sitting in like 6 range or so. So anyway, let's get the other one. All right. The other one I got in my other tulip glass here. So now this one, again, still looks kind of a light gold. It looks more gold on the camera, but in front of me looks still kind of that medium straw. So if I kind of put them up, and at the end, I'm going to have them side by side when there's a reveal. But you can see they look very similar to each other. Okay. So this is the second one. All right. So let me take a sniff of this one. We're losing the head again. We're down to about 1/4 of an inch of a white head there. And again, there is opaqueness. So let's take a sniff of this. Well, so now this one's got a very strong citrus, like orange kind of nose to it. Okay. Almost like it's artificially sweetened. All right. Almost like, again, like those candied orange Jolly Ranchers, or those orange candies with the visible sugar on the outside that were chewy. That's kind of what you're getting here, orange. Both of these are pretty neutral, pretty equal with malt. They're kind of got that white bread malt character, weedy type of thing. Again, obviously, since I don't know which one of these beers are, I just know one's listed as a hazy, one's listed as a American IPA, but you can just tell by the color they look exactly the same. And when I look at them, I'm not going to be able to hold both up at the same time. Again, there will be probably a picture, but they look almost spot on color-wise. So let's take a sniff, a swig of the second one here. All right, now this one, same type of carbonation, kind of medium carbonation. I didn't mention it on the first beer, but very. One thing I'm noticing right away, there's definitely some residual sweetness here. It's probably not as attenuated. I'm even getting some alcoholic warmth on it, like not solvent-y, but like definitely some heat to the warmth. I'm suspecting this one is probably a little bit more, has more alcohol in it. But it's definitely strong with the orange candied residual sweetness. So it's kind of like that orange fruit bomb citrus. But again, it's got a nice crisp bite to it, and the mouth feels a little fuller on this one. This is the second one. Okay. This was the first one. Again, take a look at the colors. It's pretty much spot on. Let me just take a swig of the first one again. Again, more subdued. It's not as cloyingly sweet, the first one. Okay? And most likely I'm going to have the first one left right on the screen with the video. And I'll probably maybe have maybe even a diagram or something. But so the first one I'm going to have on the left side of the screen, and the second one I'll probably have on the right side of the screen. This first one, again, a little grapefruit, a little crisper, not as cloyingly sweet. Drinks a little bit crisper, no alcoholic heat or anything to it. And again, remember the second one is kind of that orange fruit bomb, residual sweetness. Yeah, that one, this is the second one, which will be on the right side of the screen over my shoulder probably. Just very sweet, tangerine, orange. This first one is a little bit more grapefruit, citrus, lime zest, maybe a little white grape. So anyway, guys, between the two beers, between the first one here and this elongated tulip glass, which again, you can see the color, straw, versus the second one, okay, which basically the same color. And this is the one that's a little sweeter, a little more orange. First one's a little more grapefruit. I got to go with the winner on today's beer face-off, semi-blind beer face-off. I know between the two which two beers we have, but don't know which one because they both look the same. I haven't reviewed these beers in a couple of months. So I'm going to go with beer number one on the left side of the screen. That's probably been over my shoulder. Mainly because it's a little drier, a little crisper, a little more refreshing. It doesn't have that alcohol, too much of an alcohol warmth. It doesn't taste artificial in the sense of it, like the other one feels like this. The second one tastes like it's back sweetened with some type of juice. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to go with the first one. Okay. This particular one. All right. So I'm going to do a quick pause and I'm going to come right back and tell you which one's which. All right, guys, I'm back. So number one, who was the winner on the left side of the screen, probably through most of the video, or I plan on editing it that way. Okay, this particular one, the elongated tulip, was the Voodoo Ranger Experimental IPA, which is really good. I remember both of these I enjoyed for different reasons. I don't remember all my details on it, but again, it is under the beer dissection if you want to get a longer version of this. This one was just kind of crisper, a little more grapefruit, lime zest, white grape, maybe not as hot. The second beer, okay, was the Voodoo Ranger on the right side, Juice Force. Okay, this one, remember, was more mandarin orange. So now that I know which one's which, let me just taste this again. This is the experimental IPA. Yeah, this is just a little more pleasant drinking. I think a little more sessionable. Now this one, the experimental, I'm assuming it's lower alcohol, 6.6%. So I think just a little more sessionable, a little crisper, less residual sweetness. You don't feel like it's cloyingly sweet. The Voodoo Ranger Juice Force, I believe, is like 8 or 9%. 9.5%. So there you go. There's probably a lot of residual sweetness, not as attenuated beer. So you kind of get that sweetness. And this is kind of that candied, orange candy sugar, those chewy orange candy, sugar-coated chews, I guess I call them. I don't know what else you call them. And this is definitely pretty hot. So again, that was the Voodoo Ranger in my shorter, fatter tulip glass. Okay. So anyway, guys, hopefully that was fun for you. I enjoyed doing these. This was semi-blind. I knew which two beers I had on hand. They looked the same, so I just wanted to taste them differently, thanks to family. So today's beer face-off, I'm giving it to the Voodoo Ranger IPA Experimental, which, again, I think that one technically is an American IPA. The Juice Force is technically a hazy Imperial IPA. It's got more alcoholic bite and stuff like that. You want to get schnockered to drink these Juice Forces all the time. But I just really think the Experimental IPA, and I think the Experimental IPA is a little bit newer. Okay? So anyway, guys.